You're listening to The Bold Blueprint with Claire Bartlett. This is the go-to podcast for business owners who are ready to be bold, step into your power and claim the success that you deserve. So whether you're an established business or just starting out, this podcast is your weekly dose of unapologetic inspiration, empowerment, and actionable advice to take your business to the next level. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of small businesses and a proud sponsor of the Bold Blueprint podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have amazingly offered a 50% discount off your first 3 months with them. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, just follow the link in the show note. But for now, let's jump into this week's episode. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Bold Blueprint. This week we are talking all about big business events and how to make the most of them. We are approaching business event season. There are so many events happening. I'm heading off tomorrow to a 2-day event, which I'm super looking forward to. So I thought I'd dive into how I prepare for them, how I make sure that I get the most from them. And honestly, if you've got any kind of in-person event lined up this year, whether it's a conference, a summit, a live workshop, or a retreat, this is the episode you need in your ears before you pack your suitcase, because we're diving into how to make the big business events work for you, not just emotionally or energetically, but financially too. We're talking real, measurable return on investment. Because let's face it, these events aren't cheap, right? Tickets are often a few £100s before you even factor in the transport, the accommodation, food, childcare, all of the things. So if you're investing that kind of time and money, we're going to make sure that you come home with more than a notebook full of gold foiled quotes and a few cute selfies. You're going to come back with some clarity, some new contacts, loads of confidence, and some conversions. So let's get into it. Why business events are worth talking about? Well, business events are like business accelerators. You are surrounding yourself with people who are doing the thing. They're not just talking about it, they're actually proving their processes and their systems. There's some amazing guest experts at these events, and you can gain some real insights, shortcuts, and tools to grow your business. This all sounds amazing, and it is. They're worth going just for that. It's gold. But when you're investing so much time and money, really you want some tangible results from it. You want some collaborations potentially. You want some sales. You want to grow your business in every aspect. But this will only happen if you go with intention. So I've been to so many business events now, and I've always left absolutely buzzing with ideas. But then real life kicks back in, the client work, family stuff. I've got the washing to catch up on. You know how it goes. Life gets in the way. So sometimes those ideas just never see the light of day. And honestly, that is a tragedy for our businesses. We've invested that time and money to go and learn these things. And it's really important that we find a way of spending the time to implement them afterwards. So in this episode, I want to give you a full strategy to how to approach these events so you can walk in with a plan and walk out with results. We're going to cover things like how to prepare before the event so you show up ready to connect, what to do during the event to make sure that you're standing out, making sales and maximizing your time, and how to follow up in a way that deepens relationships and brings people into your world. I'm going to share some core tips plus a bunch of bonus insights that you might not even have thought about. So, part 1, before the event, how to lay the groundwork for success. Well, my first tip is to go with a specific offer or service in mind. This is your sort of anchor. This is, what you're going to focus on before you even arrive. So, when you go into any new conversations, you've got that one thing in your mind. It could be that your signature one-to-one offer. It could be a new program that you're launching, an evergreen course. It could just be a freebie that you are wanting more people to download, or an upcoming masterclass or a webinar. But having a clear offer in your mind helps you speak with purpose and have intention in all of the conversations that you have. It can also help answer the what do you do question with clarity. Because if we're going into these events and, we have 10 different offerings and freebies and things that we serve, when you're going into these conversations, suddenly you're trying to think about all these different things that you can do and you can help people with, and find the one that fits the conversation that you're having. And that can leave you distracted, feeling overwhelmed, or just giving up altogether and then not actually having any purpose or intention to those conversations. So make sure that you go to these events with just one thing in mind. What is the one service or product that I'm wanting to push while I'm there? And then let that lead all of your conversations, and go into everything with intent. It also helps you filter the advice that you give on the day. So every speaker tip doesn't need to be implemented immediately, but it shows you how to focus your mind to specific areas in your business. And then you can decide what actually supports your next step, or in the conversations that you're having, how you can recommend this one product or service that you're thinking about, that you're there to promote. You can find a much easier way of bringing that into conversations. Tip number 2: create a really powerful, memorable one liner. You are going to introduce yourself hundreds of times. So make sure that your intro is simple, it's bold, and it's clear. So you can try a formula that I like to use is I help blah, 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 achieve blah, blah, blah without. And then you fill in. So for example, I would say I help overwhelmed entrepreneurs build a personal brand that actually brings in clients without spending hours stuck in their business. You need to practice it. You need to say it out loud, refine it until it just literally naturally rolls off your tongue. You also want other people to be able to remember it, remember who you are, so they can then recommend you in the conversations that they are having at the event. I don't know whether you've ever been there where you're chatting to someone about a pain point of yours and they say, "Oh, do you know, I met an amazing person yesterday, and they told me that's exactly what they do. I connected with them, here's their connection details." The people that you are talking to become your cheerleaders. And if you're fresh in their mind with a really impactful one liner, they will keep that in their mind's eye for all of the other conversations that they are having as well. So it's really important to nail this and don't leave any confusion on the table. Make sure it's super clear that this is what you do, this is who you are there to help, and this is how you help them. Tip number 3: if you can, introduce yourself to the event group before you even arrive. So many times nowadays, there's sort of Facebook groups or WhatsApp chats, Slack spaces that are created for the events before. Use them. Drop a friendly intro message in there with a picture of yourself. Hey, I'm Claire. I'm a business strategist from the UK. If you're going on your own, make sure that you tell people, because there will be hundreds of other people that are also going on their own. So say, I'm coming solo and I'd love to connect with some of you amazing humans before the day. You'll be surprised how many people reply, introducing themselves. So you will feel less awkward on the day. You will have already sort of have an idea of who they are and what they do, and it eases you into the conversations. But also, some people will reach out and say, I'm going on my own too. Do you want to sit together? Do you want to grab a coffee? Do you want to meet at lunch? So it's easing you into the space, and it's making it feel a much more friendly space before you've even arrived. Tip number 4: prepare your digital links and your QR codes before you go. Business cards are such a waste of time and money. How many times have you been given a business card that you end up throwing in your desk drawer as soon as you get home? You never end up connecting with that person. You find it 2 or 3 years later and think, oh, I wonder who that was, or wonder where I got that card from. You need instant action. You need them to come into your world straight away. And the easiest way to do that is with QR codes. All social media platforms have ready made QR codes for you within their platform. It's super easy to get them. And the best way to use them is to screenshot them. So you have them all in your phone photo album and you can easily access them whenever you're in a conversation and get people to connect with you. One tip that I love is people get them printed on stickers and put them on their phone cases, things for their link trees or their freebies, or even a Calendly booking link. But again, it's super easy and it creates that instant action that you're looking for. If someone's saying, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to carry on the conversation," bam, here, great. Scan my QR code and let's book in a call. It's so easy. And it's such an amazing way to come away from that event feeling like you have really got some tangible evidence that it was worthwhile you attending. Another quick tip on this, though, is to make sure that your social profiles are active and they're clear about what you offer. So when people do come over to your social media, they can instantly get a feel for who you are and how you work. Another great tip is to pin some posts. So on your Instagram page, for instance, make sure that you have some real clear advice and guidance and a clear introduction post on your top of your Instagram page. It'll be the first thing that anybody watches that's coming into your space. So it's a really useful way of instantly introducing them to more detail about who you are, what you do, and how you help people. Another really great tip here is to create brand new QR codes for the event. So you can use trackable links like I just use Bitly. It's a free solution, but it will create me a QR code. I have a specific one for the events. And that way I can see exactly how many people have used that QR code at that event. And it helps me track value that I've received from attending that event, whether it was actually worth my time, whether I had useful conversations and it was my ideal audience. And even better, if you use a CRM software, you can create special tags like, the name of the event or the month. And again, anyone that joins your mailing list, you'll be able to see instantly where they came from and track with them and engage with them afterwards. So, doing those two powerful things helps make sure that you measure the return of your investment of the event, like I said, and actually know whether the event brought in leads, clients, and sales. But it also helps you follow up in a really tailored way. So you can send the follow up email that says, "It was so lovely to meet you at X event." And that's a really personal touch that can build trust. Tip number 5, plan what you'll wear and make it super easy to spot you in a crowd. There are hundreds of people at these big events. So wearing something really bold or fun or signature to you isn't about vanity, it's strategy. It's making sure people will remember you and be able to spot you and point you out to other people in the crowd. People will remember the woman in the yellow blazer or the guy with the rainbow trainers. These things are memorable. So when you're having that conversation and someone says, "Oh, I remember speaking to someone yesterday or earlier today. Yeah, they're wearing a yellow blazer." And then you can scan the crowd and you will instantly be standing out to them. So it's a really easy way to make sure that the leads can find you, that they remember you. They can approach you later if they have more questions or just want to carry on the conversations with you. So now we're going to part 2, which is during the event, making sure that you're standing out and you're showing up fully. Now, first tip here is a super easy one. It is speak to everyone you can. Seriously, the real magic of events happens between the sessions. It's in the lunch queue or when you're in the toilet, walking in or out of the room and waiting for the speakers to start. This is where you can really get some amazing connections. Just smile, say hi, ask people where they're from, what their favorite session has been, what's brought them to the event. If you're a little nervous, literally say, "I always get nervous at these things. Do you mind if I come and sit with you?" 9 times out of 10, people will welcome you because they're feeling the same way. I can't drill this in enough that there will be hundreds of people that are there that have gone on their own, that are super nervous, that are scared to open up conversations. and they've got their sort of head buried in their phone because they don't want the awkward looking around the room and feeling really lost and alone. So by you approaching them first, you are ripping the band-aid off, you're going out of your comfort zone, which is building yourself and your confidence, which is an amazing thing to do anyway, but you're also really helping them enjoy it and get the most out of the event. Tip number 7, use your freebie strategically. So make a freebie that you're offering. This goes back to the first point about going with just one thing. If you can make it relevant to the event, then you are winning. So maybe it's a checklist that expands on a session topic specifically, or a download that supports your introduction line that you've been using. It can be a quiz that helps people get to know themselves or the business better. But having an intention and a link between the event and your freebie, you know already that they're your ideal audience because they're attending that event. So it's a really powerful way of making sure that you really maximize the amount of downloads. As I mentioned, make sure that you've got the link or the QR code handy, and then just start dropping it out and mentioning it really naturally in conversations. So when someone is explaining a pain point, you can go, actually, I've got something that might really help you with that. Let me send you the link, or let me share the QR code with you. You don't want to be salesy. Nobody is there to be sold to. But what they are there for is to solve pain points they have in their business. So if you have an ideal solution for that pain point that they're talking to you about, make sure that you offer it with kindness and authenticity and make it easy for them to take that action. And then tip number 8, don't just learn, but reflect and take action. So one thing that I do, because you can take so many notes through all these chats and these sessions that are held at these events. So I either have a completely separate notebook, or I just flip to the back of the notebook and I create a page that's literally the things that I will actually implement. So after each speaker, I'll take one main thing from that session and I'll put that on my list. And that's the actual thing I'm going to take action on straight away in my business. It's also really useful to write down names of people that you want to connect with after, ideas that come up just from the chats and the conversations that you're having, or potential collaborations or content ideas. One thing that what I will always get is little quotes or snippets from people that I think, God, that will make a great post on my socials. So making sure that I have a way of jotting that down, because you are going to be taking in so much information. If you ever tell yourself you'll be able to remember it later, you're lying to yourself. You won't be able to remember it. You are going to be flooded with conversations and information. So making sure that you have a really easy way of making notes. Another thing I do when it is just naturally from conversations is I use the note action in my phone, the note section, and I'll literally just write like 3 or 4 words, just enough to make sure that I will be able to recall this conversation later in my mind. As I've mentioned, tip number 9 is look for the lonely ones. If you spot someone sitting alone, make sure that you invite them into your conversations. It's not only kind, but it's building genuine relationships, and that energy will come back to you. Be the light in the room that is bringing everyone together and connecting everybody. Because I'm sure, as I have, when you go to an event, especially if it's in a completely new space and you don't know anybody at that event, being on your own is so daunting and can feel really debilitating, stop you from, approaching existing conversations. So be the person that makes that easier for someone in that room, because you've been there and you know how painful it can be. And finally, the last tip in this section is talk about what you do with confidence. Do not downplay yourself. Be proud of where you are in your journey. And if you're just starting out, say so, but say it with excitement. Don't apologize for it. That everybody is exactly where they should be. Everyone is equally important in that room. Doesn't matter where you are in your journey. So make sure that you own it. Don't feel guilty for being at the start of your journey, or that you already have a 10-year plus business. Own where you are in your journey. Own the skills and the expertise that you have and how you can help people. Because if you don't have the confidence in what you're trying to sell, then the other person that you're talking to won't have that confidence either. And finally, just a quick tip, if you have any sensory sensitivities or mobility needs or anything else that might impact your experience, please reach out to the organisers of the event. So many events now are more than happy to accommodate, whether that's front row seating or a quiet area or a support staff, but making sure that you are going to enjoy the event at the absolute maximum that you can is so important to make it worthwhile for you. And the event organizers will want that too. So make sure you reach out and explain any slight issues that you might face when you're there, and make sure that they are aware of them and can do everything they can to minimize them for you. Okay, so we've been to the event, we've had an amazing time, we've had so many incredible conversations. Now it's time to follow up like a CEO. The first thing here is to follow up really promptly and authentically. So, ideally, within 48 hours, you want to follow up with everyone you connected with on your socials. You want to just try and send a DM like, oh, it was so lovely to chat with you at the event. I'd love to stay connected. And here's that freebie that I mentioned. Or if you can, and you can personalize them slightly to the conversations that you had with them, absolutely amazing. But like I've said, you are going to have hundreds of conversations. So don't feel bad if you can't specifically remember any details about the one conversation. You will know that just being at the event was a connection in itself. And you can ask them, which session did you love the most? Have you implemented anything in your business yet? Just personalize it by the fact that they were at the same event. You want it to be personal, you want it to be helpful to them, and you don't want any pressure. Do not make it a sales pitch straight away. You need to build that connection. Tip number 12 is to create a post event connection plan. So make a spreadsheet or a list of who you met, what you talked about, what the next steps that you agreed on were. Again, this is all from memory, so it can be quite difficult to do, but often looking through socials, seeing the picture of somebody will bring back some memories of the conversation. It can also just be the list of whoever downloaded your freebie or signed up for whatever that service was that you went to offer with. But making a list of them and then keeping a track of the follow up with them is a really powerful way to do it. So I will always download, okay, I've had 100 people download my freebie that I was pushing while I was there. Um, Within 48 hours of the event, I've messaged them all, I've sent them a personalized email or made some connection with them. I'll make a note of how I made that connection, whether it was a socials message or whether it was an email. I will track if they reply or when they respond, and I will make sure that I know where we are in the journey with that new connection. Whether we have spoken about the podcast, whether we've spoken about having a coffee together, whether they've booked a one to one call with me or a discovery call, I will track every detail of it. And it really helps me because when there's so many, when you're expecting a high volume of new people into your world, it's really hard to keep track of them unless you have it written down in front of you and something that you can really tangibly work with and keep track of. Then you need to schedule time in your calendar to follow up with everybody. So you can't let those warm leads get cold. It's really important, especially in those few days after an event, to make sure that you have quite a clear diary. One, so you can implement the things that you've learned in the sessions, but two, so you can really make sure that you're following up with authenticity. You're not making it stressful for you or for them, and it just feels really natural. The next tip is to share your takeaways publicly. So, write a post about summarizing the takeaways from the event, tag the people that you met, share all the pictures that you took, thank the organizers. That's always a really nice touch, and share as many photos as you can. It shows authority to your audience. It boosts your visibility, especially with the new tags, and starts more conversations. You can, as your hook, you can ask people, were you at the event? What was your favorite takeaway? You can share the things that you're going to implement in your business, who your favorite talkers were, your favorite speakers. So there's loads of content, and you can actually stretch that out for quite a while. 1 week after the event, you can say, 1 week ago today, I was at this event, living my life, doing this, blah, blah, blah. So it's really easy way for content creation. The next tip is to turn the energy into action. Let's talk about the realest thing that happens post event. I've already hinted about it, but we come home absolutely buzzing with ideas and inspiration and the best of intentions for our business. But then we put that beautiful notebook on a shelf and life moves on and it just creates dust. I have a whole pile of notebooks full of amazing content that I've um, collected over different events that I've never uh, used in my business. So it's really important that we take action on what we learn, and you need to do it quickly. So, how do we change that? And how do we make sure that you're going to get the most out of the sessions that you've attended and the information that you've learned? Well, you need to create an implementation plan. So, block a non negotiable implementation day in your diary for within a week of the event. Book yourself out for that CEO day where you do nothing but unpack your notebooks, revisit the biggest insights and everything that you wrote down, potentially revisit that list of those key things that you wrote down, and start implementing them in the next 30 days in your business. So you can use the power of three method. So choose one really quick win, something that you can do really easily in the next 48 hours. It can be something simple like updating a headline or emailing someone, or applying a quick tech tip that you picked up. Then pick one mid range task. So this can be something that takes a little longer. You're going to need to sort of plan it into your schedule. Something like creating a new freebie, refreshing your onboarding process or your website, your messaging, something that's a little bit more detailed, but still relatively easy. And then one really long term project, something that's been really inspired by the event, like launching a brand new group program or a complete rebrand, starting a podcast, things that are going to take time to implement. But the important thing is within those next 30 days, you will take steps to start the process. You need to create accountability. So you can share those top three steps on your, Instagram or in your community. Or a great thing that I love to do is if I've really made a great connection with someone at the event, use them, become each other's accountability buddies, target each other with these three things that you're going to take action on, and then keep each other accountable for them. It's such a great way of building that connection, and really deepening the relationship that you have with that person, but it's serving both of you because you're bringing in that accountability. And then you need to set calendar reminders, make sure that you have due dates for all of those three goals. This is where the real sort of CEO energy kicks in. You need to make a plan and then you need to stick to it. And finally, you need to review and celebrate it. So when you get to that 30-day mark, review what you've implemented, celebrate the wins, tick them off your list with pride, learn from what didn't land. Potentially some things haven't worked out as you thought. See what you can learn from them, tweak and move forward. And then the reflection closes sort of that loop and fuels your confidence. So events shouldn't just inspire, they really need to elevate you and your business. But it only happens when we take what we've learned and actually put it into motion. Finally, a little bonus section is what to pack. I always struggled with this in the beginning. I never really knew what things I was going to need. So here is my absolute must-haves when I'm packing for an event. And some of these might surprise you. These are all about sort of, honestly, they can make or break your day. They can make sure that you're comfortable, that you feel prepared, that you are practical but also polished and ready to go. My number one is hydration, water bottles, because events can be really long. You are chatting all day, you are on your feet. And also, sort of, most venues can be really dry. It's really hard. There's massive queues to get a coffee. So, a reusable water bottle can keep you feeling fresh and hydrated and ready to go. If you don't like drinking plain water, there's tiny little bottles that you can get of these like squash bursts, and they just add some flavor to your water. And those are really great because they're small, so they can easily fit into your bag, but they make sure that you drink enough and you keep hydrated throughout the day. Packing number two is snacks. You never know when lunch will actually happen or when the next break will be. It might be much later than expected, or sometimes the options that they have available don't really meet your dietary needs or your taste. So having, a protein bar or some snacks in your bag just help you keep your energy steady and prevent that sort of hangry crash that we can all have mid-afternoon is a critical time for me. So I always make sure that I have something with me that I can just nibble on through the sessions that I know will keep my energy high. The next thing is mints or gum. Honestly, you are going to be talking so much, and fresh breath is a real confidence booster, especially, when you're chatting really up close with new potential connections. You want to make sure that you know that you are fresh. The thing with me is when you are like, you're sitting quietly for an hour or two and you're not really speaking because you're listening to the speakers, your mouth can get sort of a bit, I don't know, dry and musty, and it just feels a bit meh. And then suddenly you have to go into like conversation mode. It's really important for me to be able to just really quickly freshen my breath and feel confident in myself. The next one is plasters, because you are going to be walking loads, standing on your feet loads. I've made the stupid mistake before where I've gone to events in new shoes. Honestly, I don't know what came over me, but blisters are real, okay? So having a couple of plasters in your bag really could save you from hobbling through the second half of the day and not enjoying yourself at all. Number five is critical, and that is a power bank or a charging cable, because your phone is your camera, it's your calendar, it's your connection to these new friends that you're making, it's your QR codes. So everything is in your phone. It is super important. So don't be the one begging for a charger at like 2 p.m. In the afternoon. Keep a fully charged battery bank on hand and bring your cable too. Have both options. So there is absolutely no way that your phone can die on you and leave you in the lurch. Number seven is a notebook and pen. Now, I'm really open about the fact that I am old school. I love an old notebook and pen. But even if you are one from the digital age, writing things down physically can really help you remember them better. And sometimes you just want to scribble something down really quickly that speakers, a quote or a brilliant idea without switching apps or getting your phone out. And pick a notebook that feels really special, so you're more likely to use it again post event. I've already mentioned number eight, but a standout yet comfortable outfit. We've already talked about how your outfit can make you really memorable and stand out in the crowd, but let's add the practical layer too, because you need to feel great in it. You need to be really comfortable, really confident. You don't want it tugging or rubbing. You don't want any regrets about what you're wearing. So comfort breeds confidence, okay? You need to feel like you look $1 million, but that you're wearing pajamas. That's the perfect blend for me. I need super comfortable, but feeling really confident in what I'm wearing. Number nine is a backup deodorant. You are on the go all day. They're under really bright lights. You're often sort of walking around, running around, maybe even dancing. A lot of these events now get you up and dancing. So being able to just have a quick refresh again can really help with your confidence. There is nothing worse, and I've been there, right, where I've worn too many layers or I've been too hot at an event, and then I feel like, well, I can't take my jacket off anymore because I'm really nervous about, I've been sweating for a while and it's not going to be that pretty. So then you're suffering and it takes your confidence away. It distracts your mind. So just having these little things that can just take that all away, you know that you're on point, you're fresh. It can be an absolute game changer. Number 10 is potentially that you have one little business boosting confidence piece that you can take with you. Maybe it's a specific piece of jewelry that you love. It can be a really bold red lipstick, your favorite fragrance. There'll be one thing that gives you always an instant confidence boost. Make sure that you have it with you. So I am a fidget, okay, and I struggle in conversations to hold my attention unless I have something to fidget with. And for me, that's my jewelry. So I always make sure that I have a necklace on that I can sort of play with. I have my rings on that I can twizzle. It really helps me focus in on the conversations that I'm having. So it's really key for me to make sure that I always have those pieces with me. Number 11 is some form of like lightweight tote bag or something, because you are likely to be collecting bits and bobs through the day, whether it's flyers or freebies, handouts, merchandise. So making sure that you have something that's super light, that is spacious enough to carry these things, and not, start hurting your back or make it really awkward for you, is really key. And finally, number 12 is accessibility essentials if they're needed for you. So, if you have any sensory sensitivities or mobility tools, medication, support devices that help you feel more comfortable and present, make sure that you pack them with pride, that you have them. Like I've just said already with my jewelry, I know that I need that to stay present and enjoy the event the most. You deserve to feel your best and most supported self through the event. So make sure that you have everything that you need, and you've spoken to the event organisers to make sure they're providing as much as they can to make sure that it's a really super amazing event for you. And then finally, a few optional but nice to haves is sort of a mini first aid kit. So I always have tissues, and I always have some ibuprofen because I do suffer a lot from headaches. So I always make sure that I have these with me. And another thing that I've learned the hard way is safety pins. I've had many wardrobe malfunctions at these events. So having safety pins can be super powerful, to just make sure that that confidence doesn't go away. I remember once I had a button down sort of power shirt, and I felt amazing in it. But for some reason, that middle button just kept undoing itself all day. And that is not great. It's not making me feel the most confident walking into new conversations when my button could pop open at any point. So luckily, I had my safety clip, and I could just make sure that it was clipped closed and I didn't have to worry about it. So you never know what's going to happen. So make sure that you have these little essentials that are just going to save the day if anything goes wrong. Um, there could be things like hand cream. I hate dry hands, so hand cream is a great one for me. Small little bags of sweets. Yeah, there's loads of little optional things that you can add in. But the thing you need to remember here is make sure that they're all small, because you've got to carry it around all day and you don't want back pain. So make sure that they're all in a neat little bag that you can carry around, that doesn't get in the way, doesn't feel like a chore for you to carry around. But you know that anything that happens, you've got covered in that bag. So the goal is not to overpack, but it is to be strategic. You want to feel completely prepared, completely grounded and present for what really matters at this event, which is obviously connecting, learning, and showing up as the absolute powerhouse that you are. So here's what I want you to remember. You deserve to take space in any room that you walk into. You are allowed to be seen, to be heard, and to promote your business without apology. These events are not about pretending to be perfect. They're about connecting. They're about building community, learning something new, and taking action in your business that helps you grow and thrive. So, whether you're going solo or with a group, whether you've got a six-figure business or you are still figuring out what you want to do, walk in with confidence, show up with intention, and leave with clarity. And if you need a hype girl or some extra encouragement before your event, come and find me on Instagram, drop me a DM. I will 100% hype you up. I will cheer you on. I'll remind you that you were born for this, and probably I'm going to be at the event too. So it would be great to connect beforehand and see you there. But for now, thank you so much for joining me this week on the Bold Blueprint. I hope you enjoy all of the events that you're attending this year. Let me know what you've got in your diary, and I will speak to you all next week. Have a great week. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode, which was brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of small businesses and a proud sponsor of the Bold Blueprint podcast. If you're running a small business and you are dreaming big, then Xero is here to help make those dreams a reality. Xero is all about supporting entrepreneurs just like you, who are not just running businesses but are also changing the game. So whether you're just starting out or you're scaling up, join a global community of small businesses who trust Xero to manage their finances efficiently.